Hi my friends, I am just jumping on very quickly for an impromptu video. I was asked to share how I created this card, and I want to show you some tips in using the Gorgeous Layers of Beauty bundle, particularly these masks. So the Layers of Beauty bundle comes in a stamp set. It's a photopolymer set. This is shown at 85%, so you will find they're a lot larger than what it shows. You have the dies, which you can die cut out, the different flower shapes, and a set of 5 masks. Now the masks are all numbered, so you can use them in order to build up your images and your colouring. I like this because I'm not a very good colouring, that is a good word, and I find that I can create a coloured sections of my image without having to try too hard. But there are some tips to using it. So let's get started in putting it together. Now I've created some other cards with this bundle, so stay to the end and I'll show you those cards with a few tips. So let's get with the masks though. You'll need a white piece of card. I'm just going to put another piece of paper underneath because we're going to do a little bit of blending and wiping off. Now you can just blend the ink straight over the mask as I've done with my other cards, and as you might see, but this one particularly I have inked up the smoky slate ink. I've used that lighter shade so it's not so stark. So I nearly forgot to stamp that off. So let's just give that a little tap. I find it easier to leave the stamp on the table and wipe your ink pad over it because it's such a big block. It's hard to handle sometimes when you're trying to put the ink on it. So just position that on there. Give that a good press. Now we come back to our mask. So you've got the larger flower down there. So we're going to go this way and see how it positions already. So let's find that notch. That's down here. So using the grid paper, I can easily line this up. What I also do with the pencil mark when I'm following along with the stamped image, I think grid paper is really good, so you can just mark the corners of your card on there as well as that notch. So let's just go ahead and do that. Even mark your stencil as well. Get that little notch there. We're going down here and that corner up there. So it just helps with alignment of it later. So now we've got that in position. It's just moved slightly. We'll just get that right before we ink again. I'll just check that those marks line up again. So always check your marks just to make sure that you've got it in alignment. So let's now bring in our Petunia Pop for our number 1. So I'm going to just pick up some ink with the blending brushes. They're really good to use. But you don't want to stick it straight down on there as it's really quite heavy. So just use some scrap paper and dab that off. Come back to checking that your mask is in place. If you like, you might have some removable tape and that will position that in all the time without having to worry about moving. So we're just going to lightly brush over some ink on that. Just when it's better to start off lighter, you can always add more ink after. See how quite heavy that ink there is when you wipe it off. So, and I start on the mask and just slowly move into the card area. we can add a bit more here. We don't need to ink it up all the time because you've still got quite a bit of ink coverage on it. Do as much or as little as you like, and you can always go back to it to add more. There you go, I added that without even brushing it off first. So now we're moving on to number 2 mask, and you'll find, let's go back down here, we've got to turn, get it in position, get our card in position, get our notch in position down there if you can see that, and just make sure you're not going to completely fill that outline because we're adding layers now, so it's going to be a little bit different to line up. But just check on those masks how they are looking. It takes a little minute. It's better to take your time and build up with that. I'm going to use Petunia Pop again, but this time adding a little bit heavier colouring. Still dabbing some off because now you're going to add a little bit more detail. There's more, there's less image in your mask to fill because you're adding that detail to it. So add a bit more here. Even going some petals down there, we can do that as well. When you're happy with that, you can always lift it up and look and see how that's looking. Just give it a lift. It really starts to take shape now. Isn't it great? Now we're going for number 3, and I'm going to change colour this time because I want number 3 to be a little bit darker. You'll find with the masks, 1, 2 and 3 are for your flowers. 4 and 5 are starting to build on your leaves. So let's get number 3. Now we'll make sure our card is in position. Get our mask happening, and always check that your number is facing upwards, so then you've got the right side happening as well. So we're going to line that up in position with those pencil marks that I've done. So when you're happy with that, you can hold it in place if you like with tape, or just hold it with your hands. This time I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape, but still only going light, just dabbing some off. We'll just run down here for that, I think. I'm going to add light covering so you get that bit more depth. And this is actually quite fun to do. It's not hard like colouring, I think, but you can getting that different shading, which is really effective. I'm going to add some more colouring there. You can choose any colour combinations. I've used two masks with the same colour, 1 and 2. You could use 3 different colours. It's whatever you would like, and you build those colours up. It's good to have coordinating colours. All right, let's have a look and how it's coming ahead. Isn't that beautiful, how you're building that colouring up on it? Now we're going to go for leaves this time. Now also another tip is when you're finished with using your masks, just run that under the tap, give it a bit of wipe over, and leave them stand up to dry, and then they'll be available to use next time. So we're going to get the green, so we're going for number 4 now. So once again, I'm checking my masks all the time. My cardstock is in place. We're going for number 4, lining those up. And just check your leaves, they're sitting there within your the shape, and you can play around with that. As you're using it, it can move sometimes, so that's why it's always good to keep checking in on it. So now we're going for, this time I'm going for Summer Splash. It's a nice colour. One of the new in colours. What's your favourite in colour? I'd love to know. So let's try that. I'm using different brushes for each colour, just so you don't mix up the colour shading. Sometimes I have one just for the similar shade, but I want a couple of different ones for this card here. So we've got the Summer Splash now. Now, once again, we are out of alignment with our card. It keeps moving, doesn't it? So just carefully with that. I think that's a big part of building it up, is having them in position. Don't worry about little fingerprints there, because we're going to cut it out. So once again, we're wiping that off. So just give that a dab with your paper and lightly go over that. I think not using the stamped image, you have a little more freedom in one way, but I think the stamped image does help you to keep it in alignment all the time. You could use a lighter ink as well to stamp your image so it doesn't stand out even that much. It could be, or stamp off the smoky slate so you're not going to get that showing through so much. So if we have a look at that, just carefully hold your mask. The colouring is starting to come on your leaves now. So we're going to move to our last mask. Let's get that right. This time our Shy Shamrock. And we're going to use number 5. Our last stencil here. Just put that down, checking our alignment there. Checking your leaves, that they're fairly close. Takes a little bit of fiddling to set it up, but then once you do that, you're right. So we're going to get our Shy Shamrock, a light dab off that. And this adds a little more depth to your leaves. Now with this lined stamped image of your roses, you can colour that directly with your Stampin' Blends if you prefer, or if you like. Each of these items, you can get them as a bundle with the 3 as I mentioned, but you can get them individually as well. So you could have fun playing just with the masks or just with the stamp set. It's great having the dies to cut out the images though too. All right, let's see how that's coming along. Let's hold it. I think that's good. We'll go with that. So you can see the different layers of colour coming through. I think that's why they call it layers of beauty. And we're going to die cut that flower out. Just using our large leaf flower die. And you can line that up, so just position that there so your flowers lie in there. And we're going to run that through our die cut machine. So I'm just going to take that off and run that through my machine. Now we'll get rid of that paper. We have die cut that out and you can really see how it comes together. Isn't that just beautiful? So I'm going to put the card together. If you want to know how I created the rest of it, particularly I'm going to give you the measurements for these strips. I decided to add strips to the card rather than just a piece of the designer series paper, just as a fun element, something different, having 3 different pieces. This is with the Unbounded Beauty designer series paper, which is another just gorgeous thing. So we'll get our base card in. So these 3 pieces, you can choose to have them in pieces or just a large one, and choose whatever cut paper you want. Let's get rid of that die. So our pieces are, I'm going to give you metric and imperial if you're following along. So it's 13.8 centimeters by 3 centimeters, or 5 inches by 1 1/4 inches. So you'll need 3. So we're just going to stick that down on our, I'm using a white base card. I've already scored it. So you can just stick that down, grab our multi-purpose glue to add them. Now, I find by adding the middle one first, it can help you position the others. So we're just putting that down the bottom, if you can see that. Just make sure it's straight and it's in the center. We're going to put that down. We'll add another piece here. Just running out that glue. Just get to do that when it's warmer and it's sitting under the lights. So we're going to, not quite to the top, because I'm offsetting them all, then that will be positioned in between those two, that one and the edge rather. And then we have, I can slide that down. That's a great thing with the multi-purpose is you can slide it down. And then we have another piece. And put that right up near the top edge this time, but position that between that piece and our edge. So you have that offset happening. Now I'm using some ribbon just to highlight that. So you could tie a bow, but I've done a loop of ribbon now. So work out how you want that to sit. You could do that. I think I'll do it this way. How will we do it? I'll go with that way, I think. And just for something a little different. So work out your corners. We're going to go from here to here. And using our seal, just need to if it's sticking, just give that a slide along. And you can just add a couple of pieces of that. I'm using the Summer Splash bordered ribbon for it. So I just get a length. We'll work out how much we want to do roughly, but we won't cut it yet because it's always good to work it out. Now what did I say? We're going across here. Just have one loop sticking out there and come across here so it sticks out. Just check that I'm sorry if my hands are all in the way. It's a bit of a thing where you've got to put your hands in to get it in position. So work out how you want that. Once you're happy with the length, grab your scissors and cut that off. You can trim that up afterwards. I won't finish the card completely. I'm going to trim that up a bit more. And put that down. We're going to add dimensionals to that. I think I may as well just trim that up quickly here now because I just will mention about that part of it. Grab dimensionals. Here we are. take that right around there. Add as many dimensionals as you want. The bigger ones would be better because you won't have to stick so many on. I find the smaller ones a little bit harder to get those backing off, and I really should have my tool, the little very clever tool, and I don't have that handy, so because that's really good to just pierce it in the middle and pop those up. But we've got that done now. We can put that down there. However you think, we'll just spread those out. And I'll add a sentiment in there. I'll finish that later. Add some of your gems. These are the 2024 in colour gems. I just noticed one is missing there. It's good to have an odd number of embellishments or your gems on there. It just balances it out. Our eyes like to see in odd numbers. And when you're placing embellishments, don't put them all in a straight row. Create a triangle effect around your image or around somewhere, so they're positioning around it. Another thing is our eyes like to see in triangles. So there you have the different colorings, isn't it? I'll finish this card off shortly, but let's have a look at some other cards that I've made with this bundle, because I know you're waiting for that. And this one, I didn't stamp the outline. I've used the Granny Apple Green and the Lemon Lime Twist for these colorings. I've added some of the purple gems there with a little hello. This paper is from the Unbounded Beauty Designer Series paper as well. Just a plain print to highlight it. Then we've got this one. This is actually a sneak peek for you. It's actually a project for my tutorial bundle for this past month. I can show it to you now. And that is created with, once again, not stamping the outline, but adding the mouse. I've used the Summer Splash and the Shy Shamrock colour. I think going lighter and building is much better. So I think we can, when you're doing it, just try those little lighter shading. And I've used the dies, some edge dies, and this is the eyelet embossing folder, which adds some detail to that. So we have all these lovely layers of beauty cards. So I hope you like them. I hope you found these tips helpful, and I will stop by again with another video. But if at any time you see a project and you'd really like to see how it's done, let me know and I can put together a quick video to share it with you. So I hope you have a good day, and I will catch you soon. Bye.